is a quantity surveyor, aka a QS. What do they do and why should you hire them? Joining us today is a lady who is killing it in the industry, and she's going to help us continue demystifying the world of construction. This is the Builder's Baraza. I'm Harry the Builder.
Yeah.
So, Carol, I already said your name. Oh, I'm not going to introduce you. Introduce yourself.
So my name is Wanjiru Caroline, and I'm a quantity surveyor by profession. I've been practicing for the last 6 years and change. Yeah, and happy to be here.
So the first question, which is going to be the intro, a very simple question. Like for someone who does not understand what do you do, who are you? Who is a quantity surveyor?
A quantity surveyor is a professional in the built environment or the building industry who helps clients get value for their money and also accounts for the construction works progressively to help clients really get it to understand how the money is being spent and yes.
So we can say that a QS is the money man. Can we call you the accountant of the construction?
More or less, yes.
Yeah.
Accountant construction.
Oh, now, and what does it take to become a QS? Do you have to like registration, education?
Yes, for you to become a quantity surveyor and for aspiring quantity surveyors, the journey takes one from high school. You have to have taken the 3 sciences, so that qualifies you. And then at university level, that is if you go the conventional way, you take a 4-year degree course, and after that you'll have to practice 2 years. For 2 years under a registered quantity surveyor. Then later on you'll sit professional exams to qualify you as a quantity surveyor, registered quantity surveyor.
So if I'm getting this right, it means high school nifanye 3 sciences, I go to campus, do my 4-year degree, practice 2 years under someone, so that now I can bear that name.
Yes, that is the conventional way.
Yes.
Another way of doing it is that you can actually start with a diploma, a 3.5-year diploma course. They are offered at KIPIT and also at the Technical University of Kenya, that's checked. Then after that you can proceed to take on about 2 more years of a degree course. Then now you can go practice 2 years for 2 years under a registered quantity surveyor, and then progress to sit your registration exam and hopefully join the board.
Oh, okay.
Actually, there's another one, which is by apprenticeship. And it was the oldest method of training quantity surveyors, where an aspiring quantity surveyor or an assistant quantity surveyor will train under a registered member or a more experienced member. Then after that they apprentice and in some years gain experience and get registered.
So there is actually, those are 3 ways.
Those are 3 ways.
Which one did you take?
I took the conventional one, which is 4-year degree.
The hardest one, the toughest one.
So to speak.
So at what point at the construction process, like at what point should I engage a quantity surveyor, like when I am doing the construction? Do you come in when the project is ongoing, before the planning stage? At what point do you come in?
Actually, and what I recommend is that a quantity surveyor should be onboarded at the beginning. Actually, during the design stage, so that they can advise on whether the design meets the budget that the client expects, so that the client doesn't have very grand expectations or very low expectations of the money that they have. So a quantity surveyor will advise you on the value that your money will bring you and the best for it. So you can have to, you will be free to choose from the given options for the value that you can get.
So as early as the conversation gets to money, that is the point you should. And that typically starts with is it estimating the cost?
Actually during the design.
The design stage.
Yes.
So you can tell the client that this house is going to cost, say, 9 million, 7.5 million.
Yes.
And how do you arrive at these figures?
So at a very elementary stage, or at the very onset, we normally have something we call a cost plan, which is really apportioning money to different elements that the client wants to undertake. So we can tell you that the substructure will cost, will come to about maybe 1.2 million, give or take 2% or 5%. Then we can tell you that the shell, to have the shell, that's the walls, the concrete works, and the roof, it will take you X amount of money, and with a 5% variation plus or minus. So as early as when the very rudimentary drawings are produced, or when you know the area that you will need, we can actually start estimating from that point on.
Cost estimation. You mentioned something very important. Ukasema, a QS is going to tell me that foundation is going to cost this much, roofing is going to cost this much. So, that is a very big advantage for someone building their house, because you get some sort of, you can do projections. These guys are going to need 1 M from me in the next, say, whichever spell of months, and you can know how to arrange your finances. But now that raises another question here. Fluctuations, Zabay. For example, the price of chuma, yes, it is all over the place. You can't even be sure what you bought it for now is what you're going to. So when you project this cost, say the building that you 1 year kujenga, so how do you handle all these fluctuations, Susanini?
Material fluctuations, one, they are inevitable because times are unpredictable. But the angle from which I take it is that I assume that I take it that if I assume that it's the owner who is doing the building by themselves, for how much will they get this material? So if truly and it can be proven that material fluctuation has actually taken place, I take that particular element, which maybe is steel. Steel has been the most mischievous one in the last few. So I adjust that cost to simply meet the purchase cost for which the contractor is buying. So maybe initially when we set the contract, or when we set to sale, we had our buying rates for steel were maybe at 90 shillings, and then fluctuations have brought it to 130. So what I compensate is from the 90 shillings to the 130 shillings fairly. It's only proper that you compensate the contractor for the increased purchase price. There's actually a provision in contract for loss and expense. So if there's an additional expense which a contractor has genuinely incurred in purchasing of material, you can prove it, and it has to be an item which could not have been foreseen, So, and then you can compensate them for that particular difference.
Okay. Now, we have started the project. You have given me the cost estimate. And then now the contractor is on site, my fundis are on site, the project is ongoing. So another question would be, what if there are changes in the house? What if I decide now I want my bedrooms to be en suite? Or the dimensions of the project changes. So how do you handle that basically?
We also still provide for it in contract or in the agreement between the contractor and the owner of the house. And what we'll do, we'll take the original dimensions and also take the new or increased dimensions, and then find the difference between the two, which is called a variation. So then we will cost that variation and then tell you that now originally your house would have gone for maybe 7 million, but due to these 1-2 changes, there's an increment of maybe 1.5 million. So as at now, or with your changes, then we'll have a 1.5 million increment. Then you'll know whether it's worth the taking or, you know, just let it go.
No, that's each answer is like bringing up more questions, because I have another question now. As a QS, who do you work for? Are you working for the client or the contractor or
Actually, you can work for both. Yeah, so there's one client who you'll find that you're actually working for a contractor, maybe taking their measurements and ensuring that what was measured or what is being implemented is the same as what is in the bills of quantities. At the same time, you can maybe verify that whatever is being purchased is within the confines of the amount that you had allocated for that project. Then you can also work for the client to ensure that whatever was specified in the BQ is, or what they are paying for, is what is actually being implemented for that cost. Yeah, and also to manage their contract.
So, as a client, if I'm building my house, if I hire you, for example, my expectation will be, number one, you said to check what is priced in the bills of quantities is what the contractor is actually doing, and also managing the contracts.
Yes.
Because contracts can be very, they can be very mischievous. It's like law.
And actually sneak a clause to miss a lot of things.
Okay. So these are is there any other expectations I can have as a client after I hire my QS to Maenda Kujenga?
Actually, the biggest one is contract management, because contract management has very many places to it. For one, there is where we facilitate the actual signing of contract and strike out clauses which will not be applicable or which are not friendly to either party, that is the contractor or the client. Two, we do something called valuations. That is, we value the works and document them, so we can actually tell you, as at this point, the value of the works is X amount. So if you maybe wanted to take a loan, or you can know your financial status at every point. We also do financial appraisals, all in contract management, and appraise you at every point in time that this is the amount that you've spent, and this is the pending works, and this is the amount that you're likely to spend going forward.
You have mentioned something very important, hapo, loan. If I'm taking a loan, hebu expound hapo kidogo.
If you're taking a loan, one of the requirements the bank will have of you is to actually be very precise or concise on the amount that you want to take for that building to be completed, or for a construction project. As with every other item, so they'll need to know a guesstimate of the value of the works. So before you take your documents for funding with a bank or financial institution, you need to have a document called the bills of quantities, and the contract at that, maybe showing that we will carry out the works. To just show the plan for the works.
So the only way the bank is going to give me a loan is if I present a bill of quantities. This can be prepared by a QS. And
it has to be prepared by a registered QS.
Registered QS. Yes. What do you mean registered QS? Is there someone who is practicing? And what do you mean? What is the registered QS?
As I mentioned earlier, in your education journey, or on your journey to becoming a practicing quantity surveyor, you sit professional exams to verify that you have understood what the practice is about, and that you agree to being a member of a regulated profession, because it is a regulated profession, and we are bound by rules and a code of conduct or a code of ethics. So you have to actually have a license and a renewed license in that and a certificate to.
You have licenses.
qualify.
You people have licenses.
Yeah, and they are renewed annually.
I am a QS. This is my license.
Yes.
Interesting.
So that's one of the things actually that you should ask of your QS.
Oh.
Yes.
And now we have talked a lot about what the whole profession as a QS entails. So my next question would be, which is one of the most common misconceptions people have about what you do? Rumors ziko huku nje.
One is that we are being counters, we count beans or count stones. So, and also that it is not really necessary to have a QS. So people sort of just wing it a good number of times, and by the time they're coming to a QS, they're in crisis mode and have mismanaged a contract and have spent too much, or they've been fleeced off by other parties. So by the time they are coming, most people come on their knees.
So you said bean counters. Mnahesabu mawe. You are not the people who tell us that you need 1,500. Interesting. Because sometimes how people understand a profession is sometimes very different from what it actually is. Yeah. So we talked about cost. Unajua kuna cost like ya material, ya labor, and everything. Those ones you can actually like plan. How about these things that we call them indirect cost, kama transport, kama cost of transport? Is that under your JD ama we do materials and labor alafu vitu kama transport and the security and those things, are they factored in kwa this cost you're going to, you tell me a house is 9 million, hapo ndani kuna transport na security, all other those kind of indirect costs?
So by the time we give you a conclusive figure, that figure is inclusive of all those factors. So we have taken into consideration transport, security, we've taken into consideration lighting, power, generators that will be used there, access roads.
Even power?
Yeah, access roads, printing, all those nitty-gritties. The fact that you will have a site agent at work and supervision. You'd have performance bonds, maybe you have insurance for your guys. So there's a lot that goes into that, and those figures are more or less all compiled into that.
So the only person who can conclusively tell you as an authority that this house is going to cost X amount of money is a case. Because what I have seen happening is a client starts a project. They are building, say, their own house. Their projection was that it's going to cost, say, 4 million. And then when you speak to that client after the building is complete, he tells you, nilikuwa nimeanza na 4 million and the house ended up costing 6 million. And then my next question is usually very easy. 4 million you started with, how did you arrive at that figure? And what they usually tell you is that mama nani alijenga na ni kama hiyo na alitumia 4 million. And so I think it's a very good consideration. I actually sleep better at night knowing that if I'm building my own house, say for example, that I have very precise projections of how much that is going to cost. So that now, if kama nauza ng'ombe or whatever I'm doing, I can. Nijue mapema. Yes, if I need to start selling my kidney, I know that I don't have that money.
Well, yes, we all might.
Yeah.
I think what people do not appreciate is a monetary intensity in construction, because construction is very cash intensive. Even a very small house can go for a lot of money. So depending on what exactly you want.
Yeah.
And very many factors can differ between one building of the same exact look, feel and appearance with another one in a different location. Same
everything. So if say I am building 2 houses, I want a townhouse and another one back in my village, and for some reason I decide that I want these houses to be the exact same house, are you telling me that those houses are not going to cost the same amount of money?
Oh yes, they will not, because there are other factors which are called provisional factors, which you really can't tell because they are contingent upon maybe the ground conditions, which you really cannot control, because if you maybe bought black cotton soil, land in black cotton soil, and at another place you bought very stable marram, there will be a difference in the price of the substructure, in the reinforcement of steel. There's a lot that goes into that. So you might have the same structure, but there will be some difference in the costing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, money. Since when you sit with a client, you're only discussing money, and that puts you in a very they call it sensitive position. Money comes with a lot of trust issues.
Yeah.
Actually, the leading cause of divorce is not even infidelity or anything, is money.
Oh.
So you and your client, how do you maintain, do they call it honesty? How do you watu hukosania pesa? How do you yeah.
One is to make sure that as a QS you're a neutral party.
Yeah.
So it puts you in a position where whatever maybe discretion that you'll make will be fair.
Yeah.
One, and it will be in the best interest of the project first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
not the client.
No.
I hired you. You need to be my lawyer.
Oh yeah, you did, but you're hiring me means that I am in the interest of the project, not in your personal interest.
Yes.
So if you actually make decisions which are not in the interest of the project, I will advise you as such, and if need for penalty arises, then it will be on you to get penalized for that delay or for a decision which has a cost implication on the project. So a QS measures in the interest of the project.
In the interest of the project.
Yes.
But you said something there that you're going to advise me. So I can make certain decisions for my own personal interest that are not in the interest of the project, but I will have been warned. You'll have told me they are going to be, for example, contractual implications of doing this.
There will be a penalty here.
There will be a penalty here. There will be a limit here.
You pay interest for this or the other.
Yes.
So, or if you don't make a decision in good time, there will be an implication, and there's X amount of money that you'll need to pay over and above for not having done this or for having done the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
So
because as a client, we like to think, because I'm the one who is paying all of you, from the QS, the contractor, I have absolute power. And I personally think as a client, I should enjoy those rights. The only thing you need to do is you just need to warn me. For example, this is going to attract a penalty. So I pick, what I want versus the penalty. So my actual question is, for example, I want to do something that might attract a penalty. Not something illegal. I just want to change the building, and then the contract did not say that, and then I might have to pay more for that. So is that possible? Because I like to think it is my house. I can, I won't do ridiculous things, but sometimes in the middle of things I can discover something, and am I around to change my mind, basically?
Yeah.
As long as I can pay for it.
Yes, by all means, you're allowed to change your mind. What I mean is, you're actually allowed to vary as much work as you want. But now, in those variations, if you cause injury to the other party, who is the contractor, you will be needed to make good that injury, which in most cases, for example, you wanted green tiles or green color on your doors, and then you don't choose the actual green that you want. So there's a whole maybe 2 months delay on the painting. and the contractor has his guys on site. So the failure to have made that decision despite having a written request will attract a penalty, which will be to pay for having these guys on site, which is a delay that you occasion.
So you're saying as a client, even not making a decision, for example, you have said about picking a color. So I have delayed picking a color because my wife cannot decide between purple and pink. No, and then you're telling me the contractor is going to claim that he has his guys on site and they are doing nothing and they are being paid.
Yes, he
so
will
it means
prove
now
that
I have to pay those guys.
He will prove, or they will prove, that they actually their program of works indicate that they were to start painting on this date.
Yes.
And they have delayed by this much.
Yes.
And despite having a written request for you to,
pick a color,
or maybe make a decision on a certain item, there's a delay for this long.
Yeah.
So we will value the time.
Yes.
And also now compensate them here on the other side. Yeah, so there are also other occasions like maybe delaying in paying the contractor. It also attracts a penalty, and much as some people just wing it and out of goodwill maybe they get away with that, but in real sense there is recourse in contract for every action.
Okay. Oh, so you said that if I delay, for example, paying a contractor, I might incur penalties.
Oh yes.
What if something happened? What if, whichever, say COVID happens and now I have to post the building, or I simply don't have money for whatever reasons, can I sell you to achia hapo kwanza? What happens in such a case?
Actually, there are very many ways to first suspend those works, or to post the contract. So there are many ways to do it, as long as you've communicated it in good time and it's not injurious to the other party. So that they're not incurring maybe monetary loss or time loss by maybe having the guys on site. So if you communicate in good time, you can actually structure it so that we can pause for a period and then we can pick it up whenever, or we can just know how to go about that. And there are very many provisions in contracts.
There are many provisions.
Yes.
So you have said we can. So when that happens, do you kill the contract, alafu we will start afresh, ama we pause and then we will continue later?
It actually depends on what the two of you want. You, the client, and also the contractor. Because it could be that maybe pausing this contract may be very expensive. So what you decide to do maybe is terminate at this point. And it can be mutual termination. It could be maybe there are provisions for that.
So it's there is a workaround. Yeah,
there's workaround, and actually there are provisions even for maybe what you would describe like COVID, an adverse event which no one will have foreseen, an earthquake, or so there are very many ways to interpret that contract. So that's how it works.
So far we have discussed this client mwenyewe, the house is costing this much and they are ready. Yes. Because you have said even a simple delay of not picking a color can incur penalties. So it means the client has to have the money. They have to be financially, they have to be prepared. So my next question would be, now what wa jenga pole pole? Can do QSs do jenga pole pole?
Yes. What we do, or we call that phasing of works. So you can have it in phases. Maybe phase one, I'm only doing substructures, that is foundations. Nikoroge slab ya chini, and that's it. And then the next time I'll come and do the concrete works and maybe the walling. And then pause from there. But I'll have predetermined how much I'll need at this point, and then I'll be knowing now for me to maybe do the walling and the concrete works, I am looking for 2 million. So you look for your 2 million and then
and I think we were having that discussion the other day, and that is a factor of jenga pole pole that most people don't see. They just face the project. You put it in a face foundations. Just put yourself together, be ready, fanya foundations, maliza, pause. Then jipanga, you do the other one. If you have money for walling, just do walling, maliza.
Actually, on the other hand, as I said before, and I'll reverb it over and over, construction is actually expensive. And it's very cash intensive. So what I would maybe say about that is, if you want to actually embark on constructing, you should first sit down and plan. So once you've known that you'll need maybe 60 million for this particular project, instead of having a foundation and then now going to look for money for welding and looking for money for something else, there are very many ways to maybe work with this money so that you can have it not as idle capital on site.
So now, assuming I am a client, I'm a homeowner, I'm a home builder, I am building my own house, what is one piece of advice, or maybe two, that you would have for someone mwenye anaanzia kujenga kesho? What is one word that you would have for this guy? And ni mtu anajijengea, he's not
Actually,
buying a house.
Literally.
Yes.
One word. Plan.
Just that.
Yeah. And revise the plan and plan again. Yeah. And by planning, it also means that for areas which you cannot make a decision by yourself, which is in most areas, involve professionals. Because to me, it beats all logic that somebody could be investing 60 million into in the building of an apartment, and you do not want to pay an engineer or for geotechnical surveys to, just ascertain the fidelity of your construction.
Actually, hapo umeniguza, because that is something I don't actually understand. You have you're doing a house that is going to cost you a lot of money,
A
legacy project, and you don't want to do the simple thing of hiring like a QS.
Yeah.
Even an architect. Some people, you're doing a house for 10 million, you don't want to hire an architect.
So it ends up, hiyo nyumba utakodisha na 2,000 ama 3,000 because it is badly designed. You don't want to get a structural engineer. Those collapses. What was the point, or what math are you doing here?
And then the cost of these people, if you do it as a fraction of the cost of the building, it doesn't add up. If you look at what do you call it, cost benefits, the advantages of hiring this guy and the ramifications you are going to suffer by not hiring him, if you do that comparison, I don't know if I'm being biased, most of the time it doesn't make sense to not hire, for example, a QS, an engineer, an architect, especially if you're doing a legacy project.
Word.
Now, as we wind up, yes, there are some people who are behind you, either a student who is pursuing QS, younger generations who would want to get into this field. Ni mahali mzuri. Is it, as a career, is it something you'd recommend someone to pursue? Because there are some people working jobs, ukimwambia anakwambia no, look for something else to do. Don't come here.
Okay, sad like that one. But what I'd say about quantity surveying and about people taking careers, maybe take something that is natural to you or that you would do for a long time. So for quantity surveying, for example, it is very clerical. And a lot of paperwork, correspondence and all that. So it's not as outdoorsy as people want to imagine. Yeah, it's more clerical than practical.
Okay.
So there's that on that, and but at the same time, the field provides a very good shot at maybe self-employment, or you'll have some free time, or you can cut out a fraction of a day for yourself, or you can work around very many things, and there's easy money at times here and there. Okay, I will not call it easy money because you've really actually worked for it in the bigger scheme of things. But there are things that maybe you will do and get money without actually putting in manual work. So there's that, but at the same time, it's very clerical. So for someone who wants to pursue quantity surveying, maybe choose the side of the cross you want to be crucified on. Okay. So one way or the other.
Let me even make the question very controversial. Is this a career that you would want your kid to pursue? mtoto wako kuja akwambia this is what I want to do, are you going to be kind of disappointed? What
No,
will be
I
your
will not.
reaction?
Actually, I will not. But depending on their interests or on what comes naturally to them. So if clerical work works for them, good for them. Because in the same field, I have met a number of people who are maybe frustrated. Did not find it turning out they anticipated. So there's that. And but I'd actually recommend it to maybe to people, and we'll never have enough surveyors. So.
Then, as we close now, do you have a success story? A project you came in and then changed everything, turned Kenya to Malaysia or Singapore?
Wow. Yeah, a number. Actually, we'd maybe spend a very long time talking about them. But one very significant one is a church project where that institution did not even know that there was a person called a quantity surveyor. And so they'd been going around with lawyers and trying to interpret this and that. And lawyers cannot really negotiate rates. They cannot build up rates to maybe to put them in a position to negotiate with the contractor. So for that project, it was a very nice one actually, because we ended up mutually cancelling the contract, and then prepared a new contract, and we got the client a good deal. Saving. Yeah.
Oh.
So very decent saving.
So it can get to that bad that the way things are going, the only solution is to kill this contract and then start a new contract.
Mutual dissolution is
an option.
Yeah. So because a client can say that if we proceed the way we are, I will not have money to actually maybe go past this point. So can we actually agree on fair terms and
Because I think it's a very good bargaining point. If you are saving someone money, they are going to be very happy. They will hire you again and again.
Actually, right now, even if they want to do a very small construction project, even a guest house or a very small structure, they'll have to call me.